I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And we are, I guess you could say, social media influencers,
YouTubers.
Yeah.
We we review music,
Mostly metal music.
Mostly metal music, and then we analyze the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a community on Facebook we call The Village, and we also have another community on the Patreon platform
called The Clan.
Called The Clan. And so that's pretty much us.
Great, thanks. So yeah, I was mentioning earlier, so I've been watching you guys. I'm trying to remember how I even stumbled upon your guys' videos. I think probably I think I listened to a song. I was actually, no, you know what I think it was? There's this other reaction channel that I watch. Maybe you guys are familiar with them. I mean, there's a bunch of them. But do you guys know, have you heard of Lost in Vegas? That channel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like them? Those are, I've tried reaching out to them too. I haven't heard back yet.
Well,
they're busy, I'm sure. They're like, what, are they at 1 million yet? They have a lot of people.
Yeah.
But,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Vegas is the standard. I think they're the best, in my opinion, the best channel, reaction channel in the YouTube space. And it was funny because
for me, I like Alex Hefter because
Right.
if I'm gonna sit down and watch something like that,
I know that guy, yeah.
somebody who's really like his entertainment level is very fun for me.
Is he the rap guy? The one that always posts like rap head or hip hop head?
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah, he does hip hop head a lot. He puts it. That's
Does he have glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that guy too. I've seen his thumbnails. I haven't watched his videos because when I watched the stuff more, it would come up all the time.
He's our favorite. He's our favorite reactor. We're actually friends. Like I was just talking to him a couple days ago. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So them, and then Sori's favorite is the Hefner channel. We had just gotten married like 2 weeks prior, and I was watching a review of a Deftones song that I thought would never get reviewed, and it was by Lost in Vegas. And then I said, hey babe, these people are reacting to music.
Well, yeah, he was watching it and he was like, hey, come over here and look at this. And I went over and I'm like, what is happening? I was completely confused. I'd never seen anybody reacting to anything before. And then he was like, these people listen to a video, like a music video or just the sound of the music, and then they react to it and say what they think about it. And I'm like, what? And then he showed me how many subscribers they had. I'm like, this is insane. Why would anybody watch this? Yeah. And then he was like, you want to try it out? He's like, you want to, let me show you a song. And so I'm like, okay. So we did, that was like our first reaction. Was it that day or the next day?
It was that day.
Yeah. And so we sat down and he showed me Sick by Slipknot. And that was our first, we weren't even trying to start a channel.
No.
He was like, watch this with me. And so then I watched it and we put it up, and it was the weirdest thing because I'm like, how people are going to find our video, but like people started finding the video right away, commenting and then subscribing. And I was laughing because I'm like, we don't even have a channel, but they're subscribing to something that has video.
That's funny.
So then like 2 days later, we reacted to another song.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we got more subscribers, and then my phone, I actually had to change some settings on my phone because we just we were getting subscribers all day.
It was so exciting when we first started because it was like, why are these people doing this?
It was impeding my ability to actually use my phone. So
killed the battery and everything like super fast because his notifications constantly coming.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then somebody sent me an email of our channel getting reviewed in like Poland or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was when I said, okay, something's happening here.
It must have been the Behemoth fans.
Exactly. It was literally the Behemoth folks that were saying, I think I don't know if impressed is the word, but I think people appreciated the fact that as Christians, we were taking a rational look at what he was trying to say lyrically, without getting triggered by the imagery or whatever.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about you guys, and you guys talk about it in like the community video you have, like kind of describing the channel, the one that's posted on your guys' homepage. You guys talk about it where it's like we're just kind of expressing it just looking at it and discussing it normally. Yes, like we have a Christian background, but doesn't mean we can't separate that from the music itself, and then separating the music from the lyrics, and then looking at it collectively. So that's what, because I think you guys discuss also like how a lot of reaction channels are. I think it's like right when you guys open the video, you guys impersonate everyone's like shock factor reaction and all. Like when you watch it, it's so super cringy. It's like I'm not buying what you're selling here. But that's why I like your guys's and Lost in Vegas. I don't watch too many because then in the beginning I'll get inundated with them. Like my entire feed was just recommendations. I'm like, okay, this is too many. I gotta stop watching these, so the algorithm kind of slows it down. But I've always maintained with you guys and them, especially when it's artists that I listen to, because I wonder if you guys have noticed this. For me, for whatever reason, when there's something I like, and I'll see like a song I like, for example, and then I see that song pop up on YouTube and it says so and so reacts, I don't know why, I'm just inclined to click it. I'm like, I like it. I wonder if this person will like it too, or what do they think about it?
Yeah, the song that's how I got introduced to Vegas, because there was a Deftones song that I was listening to that's one of my favorite songs, but is not one of the big Deftones songs. So because I had seen people react before and whatever, but I thought that song would never get reacted to, and then sure it was. So yeah, I wanted to see. I wonder what people think.
Yeah,
if they took the same meaning of the song that I did. And, aside from Vegas and a couple others, like the meaning of the song wasn't really important. It was more about, the facial stuff and the reaction, because you're reacting. Like I get it. And I'm not hating on that particular thing. It's just, for me, music is a little bit, more about, the meaning of the song. And obviously we're pretty heavy on the lyrics. I think it's probably might be a little bit of a weakness on the channel, is that we don't comment much on the musicianship, because we focus so much on the lyrics, and sometimes we try to balance it out. But
honestly, I'd argue that makes it better for you guys. That kind of, I feel like, is a separating factor. Yeah.
Right.
I think because I didn't grow. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't grow up with music, so reaction channels are extremely weird to me. Like, we do a reaction channel, but I don't sit down and watch them. If there's an Alex Hefner one, I watch just because I think he's entertaining. But that means he wouldn't have to do a reaction channel. He could really do anything. There was one video where he was like, he had to eat a bug if he lost some bet. I watched that. You know what I mean? So it's really his personality, not so much the idea of a reaction channel. And I think because I didn't have music growing up, and I didn't, like, my life experiences weren't intertwined with songs that helped me work through my life, then I think that the songs, I'm not that interested in seeing what somebody else feels about a song, because I don't have a song that's like, oh, that's super important to me and that got me through my teen years or whatever. Right. So I think for me, a reaction, it's a weird thing. Like, we do it, but it's a weird, I'm not going to go sit down and watch somebody's reactions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I typically don't either, but since, like, with you guys in Lost in Vegas, since you guys, I think both, even them too, I think they kind of discuss music maybe more so, but they also, get to the lyrics. And this isn't a slight to them. I really enjoy their channel, but you guys, like, I'm trying to remember which artist it was. There was some song, was it Bartzabel? I don't remember which one it was, where, Vin, you were like talking about like the whole backstory of the maybe it was Bartzabel. I think you were talking about the whole character's backstory, and then I'm thinking, I'm like, none of this is even discussed in the song. It's like having that background knowledge of it. Like, you already just jumped into it like that. I'm like, where'd this come from? I'm like, because you don't really, at least again, the videos I've watched, you don't see that. So just as a viewer, as someone that enjoyed the song, when you get that coloring done by someone else, it's like, that it just adds even more to the song. So then when you do another listen to it and you have that information that you shared in like the back, it's like, oh, it paints a different picture of a song that you already had one vision of. And then when you have more understanding of it, it's like you appreciate it even more to an extent. It's very interesting.
Yeah, the Bartzabel song was when he was mentioning Shemyaz and all those.
Yeah.
So like it just so happens that Behemoth, I can tell that he's reading the same body of literature that I'm reading. It just so happened that we're reading the same.
It does seem like that.
And so it looks like wow. Because people are like, oh my God, Vin knows everything. I didn't even know that John Lennon was dead. So like, I could tell you who Shem Yaza is and what he did and you know, the intertestamental literature, and I can go on for literally hours, you know, on it. But then there's other stuff that's plain as day to everybody that I have no freaking clue about and look like a moron with, you know. I think, and people love that because, you know, it's like, you know, here's this guy people perceive as being super intellectual, but then he misses something that's so basic. So they, they
really make that up.
And I, you know, I love it too. You know, like somebody asked me, like, are you going to take down the John Lennon video now that you revealed yourself to be an idiot? And I'm like, of course not. We're trying to be as authentic as possible, you know, and authenticity sometimes means that you look dumb sometimes, and that's okay. That's part of being a human being.
Yeah, I think it's very evident with you guys that it's like, I feel like if the cameras weren't on and you guys were sitting in front of the screen watching the video, you'd be saying probably the same thing to each other instead of having the camera there.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that's very, very clear. So do you remember what was that Deftones song? Now I'm curious. The first one that you saw.
Digital Bath was the Deftones song. It was my favorite song on the White Pony record.
You know that one? Yeah, that one. I think I've watched the video. I don't remember the song, but I think I've watched that one because they've done a couple of them. I think the one I remember them doing was Passenger. I don't know if you guys have done that one.
Yeah, we did
the one with Maynard.
That was one of Sori's favorites.
I like that one.
Then I think I've seen that one. I think I remember that thing because I feel like I did see that one. Because I'll definitely watch the ones where like I know the song, and I'll watch ones where I feel like I know the band. I might know that individual song, but just knowing the band's background, I'm like, I wonder what they'll think about this, and then I'll watch it.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I kind of want to talk about. So you mentioned the community and the clan, the village. When did you guys notice that there's something here? Like, are the people that watch us, it's like a community, or did you guys feel like you were able to mold it into such, or did it like already kind of form that way and you guys just simply called it something?
Yeah,
we probably have two different views on that.
Well, I want to hear yours first. Go ahead.
I think we were friends for a long time before we got married. And anytime that Vin gets involved in something, it becomes like a family. It just always does. And I'm not sure if that's your intention or if it's just like the authentic way that you put things out and kind of bring people together. So once I could see that people were subscribing and people were commenting, I was like, okay, this is just an online version of everything he always does. So I knew it was going to be a group, and like, he genuinely cares about people. I care about people too, but not to the degree that he does. And I don't know if it's because of the experiences that you've had in your life. You've seen a lot more things. And so just talking about things in the video, it wasn't just about reviewing music, but it was about understanding that people are watching these videos. And so you don't want to say something that, you know, let's say in the video, there's a real sense of hopelessness and that after death, there's nothing. And there's a real nihilistic viewpoint from it. He's not just going to leave it at, you know, yep, that's what it is. And everything is, you know, like negative. It's about positivity to it and, you know, helping people out. And so it kind of just brings people together because it's real talk, it's real discussion, it's real answers, and everything all kind of comes together that way. So I think that I realized that that's exactly what it was becoming. And you started talking about it that way.
The first terminology we used was cult. You remember?
Yes.
We used the term cult, which is very metal and very rock and roll, which we probably should have stayed with for the marketing purposes. But yeah, I think what ended up happening was, a little bit of backstory to us. We had just gotten married on March 1st. And then we started the channel like 2 or 3 weeks later. But we had just got done doing 3 years, and it was literally nonstop, almost 7 days a week of downtown ministry. And we're talking about heroin overdoses, sex workers, pimps threatening women, getting threatened ourselves. You know, like it was, I told Sori one day I'm going to write a book about that period of my life. Yeah. Nobody will believe
everything that was going on.
Everything that was going on.
Vin was like, Sori, when we get married, the first year, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to hang out. Like, it's just going to be real low key. It's
going to be me and you.
Yeah. And then, like, 2 weeks after we got married, we shoot the first video, not realizing what we're getting into. And the requests were so ginormous. People kept asking for stuff that then we started shooting 2 videos a day. And it became like, hey, maybe we could, like, this could be a full-time job.
Once we started shooting 2 videos a day, YouTube was like, yes, keep doing that. And they shot us up, and YouTube gave us a ton of help.
Really?
Oh, algorithmically. Oh, yeah. We were popping up everywhere very, very early. You know, and we started doing 2 videos a day. So much so that there was another channel that started before us. Unfortunately, they're no longer doing work, but they started putting out 2 videos a day because we just started glutting the market per se. But, you know, we would start getting like messages or in the comments section, you'd start hearing people, you know, it was more than great reaction. It was, you know, this happened to me when I was 7 and or you'd get an email where somebody says, I was going to blow myself away. And then I saw your guys' video. Wow. And I think I had kind of, you know, I think one of the mistakes that I made as far as the previous thing that we were doing was like everything was centered around me. So like if somebody had a problem, they would call me. If somebody was going to kill themselves at 3 o'clock in the morning and they need somebody to pick them up and take them to the hospital, they'd call me. If somebody's boyfriend was holding their stuff and they needed somebody to get their stuff, they would call me. And it was just for 3 years. Yeah. And so the village idea came about of me saying, okay, I'm starting to see the potential. I'm starting to see where this is going to go. And I love these people, but I cannot, at the time we had like 200, 300 subs. And I thought this is massive. You know, I had no idea that, you know, in a month or 2, that's what we would be getting in a day. So I created the village so that we could have a community of people who could talk to each other throughout the night and things like that. So that, you know, it wasn't all, you know, on me or on Sori, because I was trying to keep that promise to her that we're going to, you know, I'm going to focus on her because, like I said, we had been doing, you know, balls to the wall work for 3 years straight. And then I had another job that at times would take me out of the country and things like that. And so
while you were doing that,
while I was doing that. Yes. So I, you know, so that's kind of where the idea came in, where it's like, okay, I see these people and people are hurt and they got needs and but I can't be the one to cover everybody. And so that's where the idea came in.
See, I didn't have like the vision
have a virtual community
for a virtual community, like a village. I knew that that's the types of stuff that you always bring about. But initially I was like, babe, just give them the suicide hotline. Babe, give them a local therapist. Yeah. Send them over there. Like, we cannot counsel thousands of people. That just can't happen.
Right.
And but then the community idea was so much better. I mean, I still think that there are some people who need to seek out professional help. 100%. But there are some people that really, they just needed a friend. And they needed someone that could talk to them at 2 a.m. And, you know, they were able to, a lot of people were able to find that within the community.
So pretty much the community side that you guys have now, it's like a continuation or extension of what you guys were doing previously to an extent. You're still helping people in some capacity, whether it be people finding relief in a breakdown of a song, or if they're part of that community, directly helping out, or if it's not even you guys necessarily reaching out to them, the rest of the community might respond, I'm assuming, probably in some capacity, right? And kind of try and help out.
100%. I mean, there are so I don't know how many Discord channels there are connected to our community, and but people have definitely clustered and they take care of each other. And I was telling the boys I think since we started the channel, no exaggeration, we've probably given away between $8,000 to $10,000, and that is our community coming together. If somebody has a need, we had some really good friends of ours from the channel that needed a bankruptcy lawyer, or they were going to lose their house. Wow. And our community came together in a night and a half. We raised $4,000 for them so that they were able to do that. We
called it a rockathon. We just reviewed song after song after song after song, but we didn't do the big breakdowns. We just listened to the song and then we would rate it and kind of, you know, say like a couple minutes. Right. And so people got like they would, donate a certain amount of money to the cause of what we were doing. And then it went to that. So yeah, it was pretty ridiculous how much
recently somebody died of COVID-19 unexpectedly, and it was actually a coworker that's part of our community. He brought it to my attention, the GoFundMe thing. And again, we raised like $2,500 for this guy's family. So
that's awesome.
But again, it's a team effort. It's one of the things I learned from, the previous thing that we were doing. It's like, it can't sit around one guy. It's gotta be, it's gotta be an entire team effort. And I'm very, very, very proud of our community and what we've been able to accomplish for people in a very, very short period of time. And the thing is that we had no intention of doing this at all. It was just literally something where me and Sori could have something to do outside of ministry or whatever, people called it. And then it, I guess at the end of the day, you are who you are and you can't really escape it.
So this now is this officially a full-time what you guys are doing?
This is the currently the primary source of income that we have. Right? I'd say. Sori's branching out to doing some voiceover stuff and things like that.
We have 5
That's
kids
cool.
So it's a big it's a big family.
That's why I asked, because this alone, just doing this and then reaching out within the communities you guys have already sounds very time consuming, because I knew you guys had kids. I didn't know there were 5. So, and then add 5 kids and then add each other. That's already a lot of time to put just on that alone. And then to have other things as well. It's remarkable that you guys are able to get around and provide that much love, care, and attention to this many people. I don't think that can be understated. That's blowing my mind right now thinking about it, because I'm trying to, and making time to do something like this, for example. Like, I'm running it all through my head right now. I'm like, I don't know how many directions one person or 2 people can be pulled in and still be able to smile like this, still be able to continue churning out content, listen to new music, provide very high quality commentary. It's not like a 2-minute thing where like, this was good, nice drums, good fill, nice solo. See you guys next week. There's legitimate content quality and all of that. That's I don't even know how to start to think about that.
I think that one thing that was important with what we were doing was we weren't acting. So it's just us being us in front of the camera. So we don't have to, cut that, do a retake, cut that, do another retake. And we don't do, like, initially, if I would have known more about the editing, I probably would have leaned more toward like your typical videos, which is a lot of jump cuts. So it kind of keeps everything like moving really quickly. But when we first started, I was like, Vin, you have to keep this review under 15 minutes because people are not going to stay and watch a big giant review.
I remember that.
And it was like impossible for him to do that. And then I started realizing that people were actually, there were some people that were like, F this is way too long. But the majority of people were like super excited about the conversation and how deep it went and everything. So I was like, okay. And then bands were actually watching the review because they were like, they talked about our song for 45 minutes. Like, what did they say? And so that kind of got us further with other bands as well. So I think that, yes, it is a lot. It's a lot of conversations, but I think that Vin is right. You are who you are. He's the type of person that is always liking to stay busy and keeping his mind active. So he's constantly in the comment sections or on the, Facebook or different forums and stuff. And he runs that. And to him, in my opinion, to you, it doesn't even look like it's a job. It looks like it's like, this is what you do. This is your life.
I was just going to say, it's a way of life, So, I think with me, you always have the phone. It doesn't take much to answer somebody's comment in the comment section, right? Like, but then after a while, when I look back at how much time is dedicated to, but then the other side of it is, okay, we got pregnant again, and Sori shoots a video. So she surprised me with it, and she did it on camera, right? Like, so when like a life event happens, our community is like one of the first things we think about. Like, how do we, you know what I mean? And so it's not in that, from that perspective, it's, you're friends with these folks. These folks have an interest in your life and your kids and things like that. And so that video is going to go up in a day or 2 or 3, and it's part of the channel and yada yada yada. But is that really work? Because even if we didn't have the channel, we would still do that for those people. You know what I mean? So I think the advantage that we have, although we're probably going to get into this, because there are definitely times when it is work, like when it is a job. But I think the advantage that we have is because we're so authentic. It makes it not feel like work because it's what we would be doing anyway.
Right. I mean, there's sometimes we start out a review and we're like, we're fighting today. I mean, if you're seeing somebody every single day,
right,
you're going to have bad days. And there's going to be days that we're fighting. And there's days where I'm mad at him or he's upset with me. And so I think it would exert so much energy to like fake that and be like, yay, happy.
Right.
We're not happy today. I'm mad. So,
yeah. At the beginning of the 11th hour video, the Lamb of God video, I said, hey, we're fighting after the introduction. He looked at me and people could tell, but I survived.
That's funny. That's funny. But I think that's something that, like I was saying, it's appreciated too, because especially when the community is very much like kind of looks up to you guys, I'm sure even if you don't say it, they'll sometimes, if especially someone that watches very consistently and can already kind of observe body language, they might be like, something seems off in this video.
Yeah, actually, but we hadn't announced that we were pregnant this time around. And like, I was so sick for so much of the reviews. And so it was showing in the reviews that there was something that was off. And so people would be like, Sori, are you okay? It doesn't look like you're feeling good. And people started thinking I had COVID-19, but eventually we told them that we were pregnant. But yeah, people that watch a lot can tell, when it's just not a good day.
Yeah.
Which it's very interesting because that's something I'm not used to. In the other community that we were working with down in the downtown area, there was very little, are you okay? It was always about them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're in an emergency situation, heroin, sexual assault.
Some of them were an emergency situation and some of them weren't. It was just.
Yeah, they just didn't care.
Yeah.
So it's cool that, I love those comments when people are genuinely, worried about her, making sure she's good, or, there are some videos that are hard to review and people will drop encouraging, lines and stuff like that. It's cool because it's not, that hasn't been my experience in working with people most of the time.
There's like one comment, it's the same person that always puts it, but whenever I'll like cry in a review, like we did that Amy Lee song.
Yeah.
What was the name of that one? Do you remember?
I forgot.
It was so sad, but anyway, it was an Amy Lee song and we did it and it was, I cried so much in it. And then somebody in the comment section will put, when Sori cries, the village cries. And it meant a lot to me that they said that because I think that, if you watch a reaction channel a lot and you kind of feel connected to these people and they cry that hard, because I was holding in so much crying. That's an Evanescence song is basically, right?
Yeah, it's Evanescence.
So I was holding in so much crying on that song. It was extremely emotional. Plus I was pregnant, so it was just a lot. And then, but it was just cool to see that people like feel with you when you're watching, not just about like watching somebody cry. But I think that when we watch movies, that's kind of what we're aiming for. When someone cries in the movie, the author is going for the fact that you would feel with them. And so we're not writing a story. It's our lives and you're peeking into our lives and our reaction to something. So it's cool that people are feeling with us.
Yeah. I want to backpedal for a second. So you mentioned, in this, what you just said was that when, like you mentioned, you were crying and they said the whole village is crying. So that you feel the support, like they see how I'm feeling and they're, sympathizing, empathizing. But Vin, you said there were times when you would be, prior to this, when you guys were helping people, that they just didn't care like how you guys were doing. It was like, help me so I feel better. How do you still manage to do that when it's like this person couldn't care less what this does to me? Because I can't even begin to imagine what it's like helping people in that type of scenario, just on an emotional and mental level. That seems very difficult to see someone in that kind of state and then to try and help them. That on its own is already difficult, but then add the fact that this person maybe just couldn't care less what impact it's having on you, just make them feel better. How can you still provide the same value of help that I'm sure you guys provided and still care how they come out, that they come out stronger?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes they'll turn on you. That's another thing that happens to people, especially in the throes of drug addiction or, you know, bipolar disorder or borderline personality disorder. Many times the people you help will actually turn on you. And Sori and I have had those discussions. You know, she gets affected pretty deeply, especially with the what I just described. But for me, I think I'm a very obviously I overanalyze everything, but there was one moment one time when I was in church, I was doing something, and somebody said, "Oh, you're great," da 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 da. And I remember thinking to myself, I remember asking myself a question: have I ever done anything with a pure motive ever? And so ever ever since I asked that question, I would say to myself, you know what? I'm going to do this good thing for this person in this moment for this reason, and that's it. So anything that I do for this person is going to be about that person, and they don't owe me anything for it for the rest of their lives. Right. So, like one example, you know, Jesus says, you know, if somebody asks you for money, give it to them and don't ask for anything in return. I just extrapolated that principle as, look, anytime you help somebody, you help them because they're in need in that moment, and that's it. They don't owe you anything. They don't owe you even a thank you. It's just about helping that person in that moment. So I took that as sort of a principle, and it's what I apply. And so even when somebody turns on you and you go, if I had to do it over again, would I do it again? Yes, because the fact that they betrayed me in the future or might betray me in the future does not negate that they have a need in the present. And so if I happen to cross paths with a person when they're in need, then I need to do the next good thing in that moment. And that moment is that moment, and the future is the future. So that's kind of been my philosophy, and I think it's helped me. And obviously, you know, following Jesus as imperfectly as I do, there were lots of times when Jesus did good stuff for people and they didn't care. And they didn't thank him and they didn't whatever. And so it's like, do you expect, I've had this discussion with my son last night. Good point. Do you expect to be treated better than Jesus? Like, come on. So you know, that's kind of my perspective on it. And it helps you not feel sorry for yourself. You know, like I'm not a big fan of self-pity, even though you know, it's part of the human condition, but it's one of those things where, you know, anything that I can do mentally to avoid the pitfall of self-pity, I'm going to jump on it. And so this has helped me to not feel sorry for myself. And I'm happy with being able to say, no, I did do this for a pure motive, because even though this person is not responding as I think they should, I would still do it anyway. And so that gives me a lot of comfort.
For me, if I graduate the point he's at, if it's, let's say it's somebody who's like addicted to drugs, or I don't expect that person to do anything or be conscious of my feelings or how I'm doing, because I look at their situation and I'm like, they're in an extreme situation. And so it would be impractical for me to say, okay, so we have a 1-year-old. He literally just turned 1. I don't expect him to thank me for all the bottles or the diaper changes or what. I don't expect him to do that because he's a baby. And so when I'm looking at somebody who's heavily addicted to drugs and they're just take from the relationship and they're not giving anything, I'm not surprised by that because I feel like they're in a bad situation. So when it's something like that, where someone's in a like real bad situation, I don't expect anything other than what they're doing in that situation, because I kind of feel like sometimes they're on damage control for their own life. But when it's someone that I expect more of and I do something for that person and they like in turn, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm looking for a thank you, but when they turn on me after I've done something really good for them, which is something that had happened to us in the situation, that to me was really hurtful and hard for me to really wrap my mind around. And I remember one time we were in the car and I was talking to Vin about it, and I was like, you know, I let this person stay at my house. Like this person stayed with me, and like, then they just turned on me. And like, that to me was extremely hurtful. And I just couldn't piece it together. And he was like, so did you let her stay at your place because you were looking for some sort of loyalty in return? Or did you do it because you genuinely wanted to help her? And when I'm first looking at the situation, I'm like, well, I just genuinely wanted to help her. But then when she turned on me, I did want some loyalty. So, So really it depends on, that person. If I would have backed them up a year before that, I wouldn't have expected that from them because of the situation that they were in. But because they had grown in a year, I expected more from them. So I think it's better to have the mindset that he has, where, you're just helping people. You're not looking for anything in return, not a thank you, not some loyalty, nothing. Like, people do things that are wrong all the time and they could turn on you in a second, but you're not doing it to keep them from turning on you. You're just doing it because you genuinely love people and you love God. And so you're trying to follow what God does, and he helps people even though they do stuff to him all the time.
Yeah. That's obviously very big of you guys. So my question based on the response there is, so obviously you guys, but you're both, faith is a gigantic part of your lives. Was it always that case? Growing up, was faith part of your guys' lives, or did it something as you grew older you kind of gravitated more towards, or was it something you guys grew up with?
It was always a part of my life. I don't even have a conscious memory without God being a part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I think that when I was a child, there were certain things that I went through that I felt super close to God in those situations, things that I wouldn't even talk to other people about. So I think that it was very, very much a part of my life. Although when I was kind of talking about those people turning on me, there were certain events that surrounded that situation. And that was a very hard time for me and God, because my life was changing so drastically. And I felt like I was like, I don't know, like I got this picture of God that he wasn't actually there to help me, that he was actually not good. And so when that was right at the beginning of when we started doing the channel. So the channel was perfect for me because we were reviewing metal music, which was a lot of times can be about people being angry with God. And I was angry with God at that point. And so it was kind of therapeutic for me to review a lot of that music, because I kind of felt that way. And it wasn't something that you could really express. In my family growing up, they were very, very religious. So you couldn't.
It's very interesting because the community, I think we've had a positive effect on our community for sure. But I also think that, and the vast majority of our community is atheist, agnostic. And I think that they were very, very good for you spiritually during that period, which is very ironic. And I've also seen, and again, this is no disrespect to Christianity, obviously that's our team, but as far as generosity goes over the last 2 years,
I've not seen anything like it.
Like I said, it's close to $10,000 in the last 2 years.
I mean, there's times crazy that we'll say, so like with the guy he passed away with COVID-19, and we were trying to help them cover the cost of the funeral. We told people, look, if you give X amount of money, we'll review a song for you. So give them the money and send us a screenshot of your GoFundMe, and then we will do a song reaction for you, or send you a mug or a shirt or whatever it was. So there are times where it's kind of like there's like a trade-off, but still people are still giving.
Right. Yeah.
And so there was some people that gave and never sent the screenshot. I just happened to be looking at the list and said, hey, that person gave. They never sent us a screenshot. And then there was other times where it had no connection to what you may or may not get. It was just, hey, there's this mom that's in a real bad position. She decided to keep her baby, even though she already has children. And so she needs help. And like people would just give, we put the registry in the link of our videos, and like people were just buying, and she was just getting tons and tons of stuff in, so it's like, I was amazed at how many people would buy something for someone they don't even know. It's just, I don't know. It's just pretty wild. And even like the Rockathon that we did, like people had to trust that we were saying that we were going to take that money and it was going to go for people that needed the help. But there's no guarantee of that. We could take that money and just whatever we want with it and say, yeah, we gave it. But there was like a real trust in the community with people that have never even met us face to face, that we were genuine enough to do what we said we were going to do,
Yeah.
And, we have someone that we give the money to, and then they divvy it out to the people that need the help. And so I don't know, like I was surprised at the trust that came, especially because we were representing Christians, and a lot of times Christians haven't been known for their
trustworthiness, especially with money.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, that was interesting.
It's very ironic because the person who heads up our the sharing stuff and lets us know, hey, I want to give $300 to this person. It's a trans atheist. And it's like, but
I trust her implicitly.
I trust her implicitly. Yeah, I wired her the $4,000 and said, hey, take care of this person, and then whatever's left over, let's figure out who we can help. So it's very, very interesting, like the community that we built as far as faith goes, because that was your question. You went off.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was a good tangent. Thank you. More background.
I'm just like Sori. My entire conscious life was within Christianity. I think the difference with me and Sori was that around high school, I had a bunch of failed attempts at apostasy where I was trying to deny my faith as much as I possibly could. Yeah, I think some of it is about, growing up and being like, hey, do I believe this because my mommy and daddy do, or do I actually believe it? So I put myself in situations that I thought were as far away from God as possible. I didn't know much about metal, so I started listening to Marilyn Manson, thinking that this was really dark music, If I'd have discovered Behemoth at the time, that would have been my band. And so I just went through a period where I was trying as hard as I could. I was telling my brother there is no God, yada, yada, yada. I was doing the best that I could to extricate myself from Christianity, but I failed miserably. So here I am. So yeah, faith has always been a part of my life, but I understand people's issues with faith, particularly with Christian faith. When you look at what we've done in history in the Western world, it has not been the best, to put it lightly, in the way that we've treated certain groups of people. Particularly LGBT people in America in the last 20, 30 years, I understand the anger and things like that. And so faith has always been part of my life. That's true. But I haven't always had faith like this, put it that way. So
have you found since you guys have started doing this, and then since the community started to develop and become what it is now, and as it continues to grow, do you find that has helped strengthen your guys' faith even more, in the sense that's like, look at the amount of good there is? Because I feel like if you take this exact thing, like you give a quick synopsis to someone and then you say, would you believe there's a community like this? I feel like most people that don't, like, let's say, fiddle around with YouTube and are aware of that stuff wouldn't maybe believe it, just because, especially now, seems people are more inclined to think all is bad. There's nothing good about, everyone sucks. The world's a horrible place. And I can understand why people lean towards that. I don't think of that myself, but guys, I think there's a lot of instances like what you guys have, where it's like, well, we haven't met most of these people. We've never seen these people, yet somehow, just simply through us starting with one video talking about a song, a heavy song too, where some might hear and be like, what is this devil stuff? Somehow something stems from that, and now you have the community you guys have, and I'm very confident it will continue to grow. I think you see something like this, like, well, no, there's obviously good, and I don't think people necessarily agree there's good, but the amount that it can grow and what you guys have seen, do you look at that as like I asked initially, like, did you see that has strengthened your guys' faith even more?
Yeah, I think one of the most significant moments of the channel, we were doing a live stream one time, and this Nazi guy came into the chat. And so I'm doing a live stream, and the guy's got a very provocative name. It's like White Power or something or other. And of course, everybody was jumping on him and saying all types of craziness. And I was like, just leave the kid alone. If he wants to hang out, let him hang out. I'm not really triggered by that stuff. So he ended up calling me. So we had him on the program, and he's calling me. And so we kind of doing a live call-in show. And the first half an hour, it's all of this white power, blah, 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 Hitler. He's going to finish Hitler's job, yada, yada, yada. But as I was talking to him, and again, this is me spiritually. I just kind of got this line in my head, and I said the line to him. I said, I don't really buy what you're projecting out here. I just think you're in a lot of pain. And it turns out that he was molested when he was, 5 or something like that, and he didn't know where to put that negative energy. And so he the Nazi thing made him feel powerful, right? And so it wasn't that this guy was some horrible, evil racist. It was he's a boy who got molested and didn't get any support from his family, and finds in Nazism some sort of community / feeling of empowerment. And so as I'm talking, people are hating on this guy, yada, yada, yada. But as
Hang up on him, boot him off.
boot him off, how could you give a Nazi a platform, yada, yada, yada. And as we're talking, like, the entire room changed. Once he revealed what happened to him, then everybody was like, well, okay, well.
It was very significant to me.
And people started taking care of him, stuff like that. So that was a significant moment for me on the channel, because it kind of illustrates where we are right now in our culture, where, you know, you immediately get triggered, and rightfully so, by, you know, terminology or whatever, and people aren't looking beneath the surface as to why people are holding to these destructive ideologies. And I think it demonstrated that if you just give people an opportunity, if you can look past what's offensive and what we all consider evil, if you can look past that and dig a little deeper, we'll be able to find our collective humanity together. And so, yeah, it absolutely, the atheist community that I'm a part of, the village, like I said, the villages, the majority of which are atheists, have absolutely strengthened my faith, because you get so many people saying, I don't really believe what you guys believe, but I see where you guys are coming from. I understand this. I don't agree with this, but, and then people say all the time, if Christianity was presented to me the way that you guys are, I wouldn't have a problem with it. So it really, yeah, definitely strengthened my faith, you know, as far as that goes, when I see, hey, if I wasn't a Christian and the guy has a screenshot called a screen cap called "White Power, Mother Effer," that was his screenshot. I just remembered. If it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't have looked beneath the surface and made that connection with that guy. And so, yeah, definitely.
I think for me, before we started the channel, like, we kind of felt like that God was telling us that he was going to have us do something that was like outside of the norm, and that it was going to be something that was really good, without getting into too much detail, I guess. And when we started the channel, it was obviously something that, like, basically every Christian we know would have said, that is so wrong. You should not listen to that music. You're probably going to get a demon in you or something like that. I don't know. They would have said something. Right. And so we went ahead and did it anyway. Yeah. And, like, I literally thought we were just reviewing music. I didn't realize that we were going to be speaking into people's lives. I didn't realize that lives were going to be changed because our videos came out at the right time for people. Like, none of that stuff was even in any of our heads. Like, we were just reacting to music because we were just doing something together. Yeah. And then, you know, when we started getting emails from people and them telling us what our reaction meant to them, it was like, I was like, okay, it definitely strengthened my faith, because I was like, yeah, this was a God thing, because
we had no intention of doing it.
And I kind of feel like that God, like, kind of tricked us a little bit, because
100%.
We were like, that's it. When we stopped that other thing that we were doing, because we were so involved in it, and we were like, okay, so we're going to take a break. And so I just feel like he kind of tricked us, because we were like, oh, let's react to a song. But like, God was like, yeah, react to the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that I found, I think it was, again, one of the Behemoth videos. I think you just touched on this story. I think it was, I can't remember which one. You guys started the video and you were prefacing with, it was maybe like, it wasn't the first Behemoth one you guys had reacted to, and you guys prefaced it with that you guys were getting a lot of flack from the Christian community, kind of like what you were just attesting to, sort of saying, how could you be listening to something like this? These are self-proclaimed Satanists. Look at their imagery, look at their shows. But one, you guys obviously still, because like we've mentioned, you guys split apart the music from the artist, from the individual, from the lyrics and all that. But what was it like the very first time, the first instances that you recall getting any kind of backlash from the Christian community? I'm sure you guys get backlash from different spots just for whatever reason, just because maybe you guys said the song sucks when someone else likes it. Outside of that, so when the first instances that the Christian community started giving you guys some flack, what was the reactions for both of you? How did you feel? And as it's continued, if it's continued, has it changed? Is it like don't care now, or is it still might bother me? What's that been like?
For me, because we had already been a part of a Christian community and the way that I got turned on in that community, like I was never somebody that would like curse. I started cursing because I'm like, okay, so Christian people say we shouldn't curse. Well, I'm
talking.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if we could curse on his show.
Well, he'll just take
No, you're good. You're good.
So then I'm like, and then when we were listening to the music, the more Christian people that were like, this is so wrong, you shouldn't be doing it. I was like, F you. I was like, yes, I'm so glad we're doing this. So for me, it was like, it was petty, but it was kind of like, I'm rebelling against that system because I'm so sick and tired of that system. And some of like the really, really evil things that were going on and seeing people that claim to be Christians supporting that and not protecting victims, like that just turned me completely. And I just felt so like angry with all of that. So anytime Christians said anything, I felt like you have no room to talk to me at all. The more you say it's bad, the more I'm going to do it, because you basically said that victim was bad and that victim was not bad. The one that was bad was over. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't care what they said anyway. And honestly, I haven't really grown much in that. I'm not like F you when I see them, but I really could care less. Like I really don't care about their opinion, especially because I'm like, they're so close-minded, because I've seen the effects of our channel on people's lives, and I've seen how it has saved people's lives. And I've seen how people have been encouraged, or people that are super, super lonely. And I can't stand it when people are lonely and they live alone in their basement or something. Like that to me is absolutely heartbreaking.
It's hard.
And so when people say like, that we are a part of the reason why they wake up in the morning, because they have a routine and they come in and they get their coffee and they sit down with Vin and Sori, or they'll say like, I know this sounds kind of weird, but I feel like you're in the living room with me and that we're friends.
Yeah.
And like, we feel like that, like we're sitting in front of a camera and it's just him and I. And at first it kind of felt like just like you and I and like this weird camera. But even when we're doing the reaction, sounds weird, but I feel our community. And so even though they haven't seen what we're recording, I know they're going to be a part of it and everything. So like what we're doing is so big and it's so important. And I really, really, really like it. And I love the people that we've gotten to know, and like not just gotten to know, but gotten to love. And so when people come and they have their judgments, I'm like, there you go, judging something you don't really know anything about and you've never actually done it. So I don't have time for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Most Christians in the, prominent Christians in the metal community have stories. It was funny. So I was talking to Head from Korn. We've become friends, and he had a pretty dramatic conversion experience, left the band for 7 years and then came back. And of course, all the religious people were saying, you're horrible, you're terrible, da-da-da-da-da. This dude does so much good for people behind the scenes. People have and he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk about it. So like I literally have touched, like had hands on people that he has helped. He just built a rehab facility, somewhere in Cal. Like the guy is doing crazy God work, but because he's in the band and da-da-da-da-da, people have all these judgments about him, and he's just like, yeah, what? He's like, sorry. Me, I'm a little bit different in the sense that anytime I take it really seriously that a Christian is your brother and sister in Christ. And so anytime there is a criticism, I take it very, very seriously, and I listen to what they have to say. There are times when I've actually, this was kind of when the channel was smaller. So if you're a Christian with a criticism, don't take what I'm about to say as an open invitation. But when we were smaller, I used to set up a video chat, and I'd say, hey, you've got a concern, let's talk about it. Right. And so, but what was odd was most of the time they wouldn't take me up on it. And then there was one time the guy took me up on it. And so we started talking, and I said, am I promoting Satanism? Did we say Satanism was good? Did we, he goes, well, no. And I said, did we sell out our faith? Well, no. I said, so what's the problem? Well, I just don't like devil music. All right. So I take it seriously, but at the same time, it's not something that's going to influence me to do anything either way, unless you can show me, from Jesus' example or the scriptures that I'm out of bounds. Like we recently just did a Hail Satan documentary, So it's this documentary called Hail Satan, and it's about Satanists and, you know, certain political things that they were doing. And we had a Satanist
watch it with us,
and then we would pause it and I'd ask the guy some questions and we'd go back and forth. YouTube took it down because it was a copyright. Right. They actually gave us a copyright strike for it. But so there were a lot of Christians that were really angry at me about that, and I said, "What did you want me to do, man? Like, if I'm watching something on neurobiology, I'm going to get a neurologist. I'm not going to speak as a Christian talking about what Satanists believe. Like, I don't think that that's fair." And so we watched the documentary, and we had a Satanist on tap, and he was saying, "Well, I agree with this. I don't agree with that. This principle works here. This isn't there." And the fact of the matter is, there were a lot of tenets that they talked about that we agreed with. You know, religious freedom. If you're going to put a 10 Commandments in the middle of the town square, great. But then that means he gets to put his Baphomet statue in the middle of the town square. It's only fair. You know what I mean? And my thing is, if your faith really is the truth, then a freaking statue shouldn't toss you into the conniption. You should be happy that that statue's there because it's going to create a bunch of conversation. So to me, I kind of look at things like I'm a little bit outside of the box, maybe a little bit. But, you know, when a Christian critiques me, I'm going to listen to them because I want to honor the fact that they're part of the family. But it's not going to influence what I do unless they can show me that we're doing the wrong thing. And I don't believe that taking other viewpoints seriously is doing the wrong thing. You know, even in the Hail Satan documentary, there are things that we disagreed with, and we said we disagreed with it. But our community understands where we're coming from, and they're able to take those criticisms better than some Christians are. It's very, very strange. But so that's kind of how I look at it. But the vast majority of Christians in the community handle it the way that Sori and Head handle it. So.
Yeah. I mean, I can hear when he explains it, I'm like, that's very mature. That's a great way to look at it. I'm just like, no, I'm not there yet. I'm not going to fake it either.
Well, there's this one guy right now that puts under our every video. He says, "You guys aren't real Christians. You guys aren't real Christians." And he's like,
same guy.
He messaged me one time. He goes, "What are you guys doing even listening to this music?" And I said, "My brother, how did you even find the channel?" Because you're listening to the stuff too. I know how people find the channel. So he's like, "Stop trying to make it about me." All right, man. God bless you, whoever you are.
I mean, I find kind of what you guys are talking about. It doesn't surprise me actually that a lot of the community is comprised of atheists because because I listen primarily to metal as well. Like I'll deviate here and there, but what I've found usually, I don't really mess around with YouTube. I don't comment myself, and I'll sometimes read through them just because sometimes it just becomes an absolute cesspit in there. But like I'll be scrolling through, and then I just find that at least to an extent, the metal community, they want things kind of broken down. Like if something is broken down logically, it seems like they're a little more open to it, whether they agree or disagree. That's why it doesn't surprise me that you're saying a lot of your community is comprised of atheists or people that are agnostic, because it's like you mentioned earlier, they say like, I don't necessarily agree with you, but the way you're presenting it makes sense. Or had someone like you broken down to me X amount of years ago, I probably would have been more inclined to believe in this as opposed to, you know, where I'm at now. So that doesn't really surprise me. And it's kind of unfortunate that people, I know you guys express how you feel about it, but it's unfortunate that people that are of the same faith can't share the same thought process of not everyone can be a Christian, not everyone can be any one religion, not everyone can be atheist, agnostic, whatever. But everyone should be able to discuss the differences. That way you learn. And I'm sure you guys have learned a great amount in having those types of conversations with all these different people.
Massive.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty unique, and having that type of thing, I can only imagine how eye-opening it has been in the period of, it's been what, how many years now has the channel been? Has it been like three years ish? 2 years.
2 years.
That's crazy in 2 years, the amount of growth you guys have had.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So the
plan wasn't that, and then the plan wasn't, like you mentioned, to have a channel. It's just let's put out this one, and then it spirals very rapidly. You guys said, right? Pretty from the get go, it caught steam, huh?
Yeah, I remember very early on. I don't know if you remember this, where people were saying you guys are going to be big.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I also remember you saying, "Get us a subscriber and we'll review a song for you." And I quickly started panicking that you still kept saying that.
Yeah, sorry.
I was watching the channel growing really fast. I'm like, we can't keep up with this many songs. This is too much.
Sori's always panicking. She likes things like very like steady. She wants to know what to expect tomorrow. I am like, oh, I got an idea.
No, honestly.
And then I just,
I'm more like that, but he's so much further than I am in the sporadicness that it's making me seem that I need everything in order. My family is like, you're like a bull in a china shop. You're so chaotic and crazy. But being next to him, it makes it look like I'm just.
That's like one of our main pain points as far as working together on the channel is that she's just very linear, I think, and I'm like all over. But they're good ideas. They're good ideas. Look at Patreon's
right.
But
true.
So how do you guys find that like with each video, because you guys put out 1 to 2 a day now? Do you guys still maintain 2 a day, or is it at least for sure 1 a day, right?
Yeah, it's mostly 2 a day.
It's 2 a day. Last week we averaged 3 a day.
Yeah.
And in a couple of weeks we're probably going to be averaging 3 a day. Plus a live stream. So yeah, it's like we're close to 1,600 videos that we've put out now. So yeah,
that's pretty crazy. And it's again the thing that continues to surprise me, because I've seen channels where they just churn out content, and it's just not good because they just push things out so frequently. But again, you guys maintain the same quality and like the same time and attentiveness is applied to each song. So what I'm wondering is, so 2 years you guys have been doing it, and in that amount of time, do you find that with each song you guys like learn new things about each other's and you guys' thought process, or maybe more so in the beginning, or is that still something that continues to happen? It's like, actually I didn't know that. That's interesting. You would think of it that way or whatever.
There have been a few times where I found something out about her for the first time on camera.
Yeah, vice versa.
I'm like, really? What the hell? So that's interesting. And the other thing that's very interesting is if the number one complaint that people in real life have had about me is that I'm not very accessible. I'm not emotionally accessible. People really don't know my history or backstory. I'm very, very good at, and some of this is by necessity because of various occupations I've had, but I'm very good at like being in a crowd of people, being very jovial, talking to everybody and getting information from people, and people know nothing about me. I'm very, very good at that. And so that's been something that's very shocking to me when I watch some videos. I'm like, wow, I'm really opening up here and things like that. Like it's very strange. I still haven't figured out why. Well, I mean, I've got part of the answer, but it's a very strange thing. But yeah, there have been a lot of times when, we discover stuff about each other on camera.
Sometimes when he'll say something that I've never heard before and he shares it on camera, technically he told me first before telling the village.
Yeah,
but for some reason,
true.
for some reason, when he says it, sometimes I'll be offended. I'll be like, are you serious? You told them at the same time you told me, even though that's not it. They're going to find out tomorrow because I just found out today in the recording.
Yeah. Some of the pregnancy news, because, we told a couple people before we made a public announcement. I told some of these people before I told my own family. So, yeah, it's very strange. I don't really know why we do that, but it happens.
Was there an adjustment period once as you guys got bigger than you already were growing initially? Was there a period of adjustment of like, wow, these people are starting to see a pretty, not necessarily a lot of our lives, but these people are learning a lot about ourselves? Was it weird initially, or is that something that you guys were comfortable with, or something you had to get comfortable with?
Well, the only time it was kind of weird. It was like 3:00 in the morning one time. We were going for a drive, and Sori looked at me and said, somebody's watching us right now. And that was weird to me, because I was like, whoa, she's right. Because people are probably watching us every hour of the day. I'm not going to say every minute of the day, but every hour of the day, I think somebody's watching something of our content because it's global. That was a very strange concept to me. And then, like I was telling you off here, the first time we ran into folks at a show and they're like, hey, are you those people from YouTube? So when you put those two together, it was definitely, yeah. But at the same time, you know, it's like, okay, you know, like that's the nature of the beast. And there's certain things that, you know, I can't go into detail about on the channel, and so I'm very, very careful about that type of thing. But then there's other things that, you know, I say for cathartic reasons or whatever, and you know, if they know about it, they know about it. And you know, I always know that, you know, we go to Walmart and people will look at us for a very, very long time and look, you know what I mean? And
sometimes they'll be like, "Are you Vin and Sori?"
Yeah. But I actually feel better when they do that. Because if you're just shopping at Walmart and somebody's just like looking at you, and then, you know, like that's very uncomfortable. And I didn't understand what was happening at first until after we went to our first rock show. And then I said, oh, people probably recognize who we are. Or sometimes we'd go for a walk and somebody would be beeping the horns at us or whatever. Which I didn't make that correlation. But then I figured it out like, oh, that's right. You probably know from the channel. So, so yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what was the first rock show you guys went once, like, the popularity kind of began to rise? Like, maybe the first one you guys were identified at?
It was our first show.
It was the first show we went to as a couple. It was at Nabla Viscaris in New York. They were I forgot the name of the band.
It was Winter Sun.
Winter Sun.
Yeah, I was gonna go on that tour too. I was gonna watch the show.
It was
great. I messed up.
We had become friends with some members of that band, Nabla Viscaris. So we were just going to see them, and we were going to hang out with them a little bit backstage. And so we showed up, and you know, we had a couple passes and things like that. And then people started recognizing us, and it was a pretty crazy. That was pretty crazy. That was like one of our funnest experiences, you know. But we weren't expecting it at all, and like people were starting to crowd around us, and there were a couple people that had backstage stuff or whatever, and the band member was like 5 feet away, and then people were talking to us, and I'm like, "Hello, the singer's right there."
Wild, yeah.
But they were talking to us, so that was pretty crazy. That was something, you know, I don't know if we were naive or something, but definitely not something we were expecting.
It was surprising, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You guys did an interview with, was it the singer or the guitar? It was the singer, right? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but that was our first interview with Zen.
I think it was, yeah. It was at least one of them, from what I
He
remember.
retweeted our review. And
he was one of the ones that watched it because we had done such a long review.
Yeah, he retweeted our review. And I remember I was watching seeing a lot of other reactors on YouTube, and sometimes the artists would comment on the thingamajig, and they're like, oh, wow, so-and-so. And I was like, I don't care about that. Like, if you can get an interview with them, that's the next thing. So, you know, so he retweeted it, and I'm like, hey, man, let's do an interview. And he was like, sure. Sweet. And I was like, oh, of course, yes. Of course, we'd never done an interview before. We don't know how to do that. But, you know.
The one I was always waiting for and hoping would happen, and still hope it happens. And if it has, I somehow have missed it, was the one with Nergal. I know you guys had discussed wanting to do that. I was waiting.
We were 24 hours away from an actual sit down with Nergal. It's going to happen. He actually shouted us out from stage at one of his shows, which is pretty cool. Yeah, he saw me and he did a double take and he tossed a pick at me, which Sori will never forgive me because we lost that pick. And then
I didn't even get to look at it. I wanted to look at it and inspect the pick.
It was
but he was holding it. I was like, I'll inspect it in the car. And then we got in the car. I said, where's the pick?
It was honestly the coolest pick. It was honestly the coolest pick I've ever seen.
And that's what he said, which only makes me more frustrated.
Yeah, I'd expect nothing less from him.
And then he went out, and it was so funny too, because right before Christians to the Lions, he shouted us out. He was like, "Get him a bear! I love what they're doing. They're Christians, but they're listening to us, and they're not, da 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 da."
They're rocking.
And then all the people behind us were like, "Hey!" And then we had a pretty cool time talk. It was very hard to get to the car because everybody was talking to us, and somebody actually did buy us a beer, which was pretty cool. So yeah, it was just fun, man. The metal community is it's the most beautiful collection of people I've seen in my life. The Nergal thing was really, Nergal had leukemia. And before he got on, there were two really huge Behemoth fans. And I was just listening to them talk, and they were talking about how Nergal's ability to overcome leukemia inspired them to overcome their issues. And that's the stuff that you miss when you judge people, because he means something to a lot of people. It's about empowerment and overcoming obstacles and not letting anything get in your way. And sure, some of the imagery and things like that is, and it's not just imagery for them, because Sori, she got a press pass, so she was able to see what they were doing before the curtains fell. And they were like legitimately doing some sort of ritual or whatever. And that's whatever, that's right? Do, yeah. So, but at the same time, it's like listening to those kids talk about Nergal's effect on them. It was very touching to me. It was very, very emotional moment, because I'm like, you know what? If this quote satanic music kept the guy from killing himself and gave the guy some inspiration that he could overcome anything, then Nergal's doing God's work. And I don't care what anybody says. Like, I'd much rather that kid listen to Nergal with face paint and alive than not and be dead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a valid way to look at it. I'm curious so when you guys saw them, was that on the Satanist tour?
That was the tour that it was last year.
Was that the I Love You at Your Darkest? Was it that for that album?
I think it was right before that one. It was right before they dropped that record. They were touring with Wolves in the Throne Room, and then there was a Swedish death metal band that they went with, but. Yeah, they got us press passes and everything. Like, we were working with this publicist, and we had an interview scheduled like an hour before the show, and then it fell through. So it's gonna happen eventually. The people want it.
Yeah,
he also
definitely.
Had a pretty extended Instagram post, because
what
was the name of that song? It was the first single on the God equals dog.
God, yeah. I saw that. I actively sought out that post because I don't have Instagram, so I had to look it up, because I remember you guys mentioned it in the video. I'm like, I gotta see what he said, and I found it. I'm like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's gonna happen. It'll happen in time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that's it from mine. I don't want to I already took a pretty decent amount of your guys' time, so I really appreciate it. It was good talking to you guys, and as a fan, seeing, like, kind of hearing some more backstory and what it's been like since you guys kind of started to become as popular you guys have been, as popular you guys will continue to be. It was very interesting talking with you guys and very fun. So I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time, guys.
Cool. Thanks for having us on.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
If you've got anybody else that wants to do interviews, we're pretty open to it. So let us know. Anything else we can do for you, we'll promote it for sure.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Quick question: the on your guys' channel, is it a PO box, an address, or something? That's where people can send you stuff.
Yeah, PO Box 7024, Lewiston, Maine 04243.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna send you guys something, so keep an eye out.
Be on the lookout.
Do you have a website?
Not website yet. I have a channel. This will be up. This might go out a little bit later, but I can send you guys that stuff. Especially once this is up, I'll let you guys know.
Email us all your socials and such, and that way we can promote it and we can tell the folks, hey, it's coming at this time, yada yada yada.
Cool, that'd be great. I appreciate it. And obviously you guys have much more of a platform than me. I don't know how much help I can provide on the promoting end, but I'll definitely put your guys' stuff as well. So yeah, again, thank you guys very much. I'm gonna definitely continue watching, obviously, and this will make the watching experience for me even different. Hopefully, if any other fans that watch it, maybe it changes it for them to kind of have even more background to the people that we've been watching and been fans of.
Awesome. Appreciate you, my guy. Have a good one.
You got it. Thank you. Likewise. Bye.